Harold Osmer with Where They Raced. I am the Where They Raced guy. This whole thing started as my graduate thesis a long time ago, and it all had to do with California Speedway, which is now known as Auto Club Speedway, which is now changing to Auto Club Little Speedway. Anyways, we went out to California Speedway with the family this past weekend to watch the last big track race there, and came away with this video. I hope you enjoy it. Five wide. That's great. That's a big salute to the fans. You can't do five wide on any other big track in the country. You could go seven wide here if you wanted to. Look at that. That's the final one, because this is the last race on the big configuration track at Auto Club Speedway, formerly known as California Speedway, and if I mix the two together, I mean no offense. Mind you, California Speedway has a big deal for me, because that was what started me on a 30-year journey, and Deke Holgate wrote this article for the opening day program, and he called me out directly. As an enterprising scholar, he called me. Well, okay. Hey, I'll take it, you know. Turns out no one had ever written a book or done any serious research about all the old racetracks in Southern California. I did. It became my graduate thesis at Cal State Northridge in the geography department. Land use planning, by the way. Yep, there it is. Looks like a thesis to me. Okay, so I took that, and at the behest of Doug Stokes, I created this book, Where They Raced. It became Where They Raced Lap 2, and then Where They Raced Turn 3, and there were 174 different official racetracks in Southern California. More auto racing has taken place in Southern California than any other place in the world. I got a book to prove it. Ask me about it. But be careful, you pull that string, you won't shut me up. So here's the first big speedway in Los Angeles. Was in Beverly Hills. Beverly Hills at Wilshire and Beverly. There's the cars on the track. You can kind of make them out back there. And there's two grandstands. And all these black stripes you see across here, that's all spectator parking. 80,000 people, 1/3 the population of Los Angeles would show up to watch races at this track. It was a wooden speedway, 1.25-mile oval, 35-degree banking. These are the same cars that ran into Indianapolis and the same drivers, largely, only they were going 15 to 20 miles an hour faster here than at Indy because they had banking here. And there you can see, this is not any of that putting around Sunday afternoon with a Model T kind of racing. Oh, heck no. It's Jimmy Murphy and Ralph De Palma. And Fred Wagner flags them off, nuts standing out on the track. Here's where the track was. If you look real close, you can see that kind of horseshoe shape there. It's right at Wilshire, Beverly, and Olympic. By the way, El Camino, if you're familiar with Beverly Hills, El Camino used to be Speedway Drive. So when Beverly Hills closed in 1924, early in 1924, late 1924, they opened up at Culver City. They had 45-degree banking. Can you imagine that? Daytona's like 33. This is 45-degree banking. These guys were outrageous back there. Wooden speedway, those old cars. It was wonderful, a very different time. Then we go on to Riverside. Now, Riverside doesn't really qualify as a speedway in our technical sense because it's not an oval. It's a road course, but hey, everybody knows about Riverside these days. And so here it is, Riverside. They ran stock cars, club cars, Can-Am cars, midgets, everything. And the who's who, the holy grail of everybody was out here running this stuff on this road course that was out in the boonies at the time. And there's no real reason why tracks disappeared. You know, there's no overarching reason why they disappeared. They just did. And it wasn't always land values. It wasn't anything. It was just things come and things go. So if you go out looking for Riverside today, North is generally at the top of this. If you're in the Costco parking lot out there in Riverside, that's where you are. Turn 6 in Riverside. Now we're going to talk about Ontario. Ontario was indeed a speedway. They had a road course, a drag strip, and an oval, and it was way ahead of its time. They ran stock cars, drag cars, Indy cars, the whole bit. It was extremely popular with everybody except the freaking politicians of the city of Ontario who wouldn't give them permits to do enough things to keep their doors open. Look at that crowd, man. Look at that crowd. Auto racing guys are a very passionate group. You got to let them come and do their stuff. And it won't bother anybody. They just want to come and do their stuff. There you go. This is from the program. There's an aerial shot. We're looking generally south here. You see that little intersection back there for the 10 freeway ran right alongside the freeway. 1970 to 1980. There's Ontario Motor Speedway. If you're driving down the 10 and you get to Milliken, take a look north. You'll see Ontario. Now, California Speedway, which is the one we're supposed to be talking about here, is pretty close by, actually. It's up on Cherry and 10th. Now, here was the general plan for California Speedway. Pretty basic. Let's make ourselves kind of a D-shaped 2-mile oval. This is a Kaiser steel mill. Now, the steel mill was located here. It's roughly 52 miles inland to avoid, let's call it, Japanese guns. No gun's going to reach 52 miles, but they located it well inland to avoid that because in World War II, you didn't want your production sites to get destroyed. So by the time they decided to build a racetrack there, why would you even bother building a big-ass racetrack? Well, look at this. Winston Cup attendance figures were huge. They were going through the roof at the time. Now, this is late 90s. And here's a progression, again in the program, the opening day program for Cal Speedway, by the way. Wonderful. Opening day. Now, you're hard-pressed to see it, but this is opening lap of opening day at California Speedway. Jeff Gordon has the lead going down the back straight, which is on your right, by the way, there. Wonderful. Hey, look around. See, maybe you can find your car. A lot of the architecture you can still see there. It's still familiar. We're 27 years down the road, but it still looks largely the same. There's another shot, a construction shot from inside the program. And it's still very familiar, which is wonderful. Racing people, we love this stuff. What's this? Green flag, the final green flag on the big track for the Cup cars. Take folks out to their first auto race, they always come away surprised at what a sensory experience the whole thing is. The sights, the sounds, the colors, the whole bit. The drama of a pit stop. I do kind of miss the 5 lug stops, but, whatever they want to do. Some stops take longer than others. This is Christopher Bell. He found the wall. And they're all under the watchful eye of NASCAR officials. This dude puts on a helmet, goes out there, then takes off his helmet, comes back and stands. He's Mr. Perfect Hair Guy. Main straight. Here you go. First turn coming off the main straight. Oh, yeah. And the final checkered flag. Hey, I was there for the initial green flag on the big track. He's there for the checkered flag at the end. They got a big personal story. It all ties directly to California Speedway. It means a lot to me. I'm sure it does to a lot of folks. You know, auto racing is a passion-driven sport. You know, you got the big guys that do their thing, but you got the local guys that do their thing every single weekend. Here's looking across the pits at the haulers and the snow on the mountains behind us. Southern California is a wonderful place. But here's an example. These guys were having a birthday party out in the parking lot. I was walking to leave, and a lot of guys were doing this. Not all having birthday parties, but they're cooking out. They're doing their thing. It becomes a way of life. And auto racing fans do that. That's what it's about. I'm glad to have you along. This is on the tunnel, walking under turn 4. So I can get out from the infield, go meet up with everybody. Hey, there it is, where they raced. I'm Harold Osmer. Hey, there's a link in the description down below. You can find that. Send beer.